I remember the day we set out for our camping trip like it was yesterday, and the birds were singing as we packed our bags with excitement. My friends, Jake and Sarah, and I had been planning this adventure for weeks, eager to escape city life and immerse ourselves in nature's beauty. We arrived at the campsite just before dusk. The place was surrounded by towering trees, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. A narrow trail led us deeper into the woods, and we followed it until we found a cozy spot to pitch our tents. As night fell, the forest transformed into a different world. The sounds of nature grew louder, and the rustling leaves and the chirping crickets filled the air. We gathered around the campfire, its warm glow projecting on our faces. We shared stories, laughter, and roasted marshmallows as the darkness closed in around us. But soon, we noticed something odd. The forest grew quiet. The chirping crickets ceased their song, and the rustling leaves fell silent. I saw the same uneasiness reflected in Jake and Sarah's eyes. It was as if the very heart of the forest had stopped beating. We tried to brush off the feeling, attributing it to our overactive imaginations. Maybe it was just the wind, we thought, or perhaps the animals had retreated to their hiding places for the night. Still, we felt uneasy. That night, for some reason, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my sleeping bag, staring at the tent ceiling, listening intently to the sounds outside. The distant hoot of an owl sent me chills, and the crackling of the branches made my heart skip a beat. Fear tightened its grip around me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Morning couldn't come soon enough. With the first rays of daylight, we emerged from our tents, bleary-eyed and weary. The forest seemed different in the morning light, the shadows less scary. We decided to shake off the uneasiness of the previous night and explore the surrounding area. As we walked deeper in the woods, we stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin. It was a relic from the past, its wooden walls weathered and worn. The sight intrigued us, and against our better judgment, we ventured inside. The cabin's interior was as haunting as the exterior. Dust danced in the air as we cautiously stepped through the rooms. Broken furniture lay scattered, cobwebs draped across every corner. It seemed as if time stood still with those decaying walls. But amidst the desolation, we discovered something. On a dusty table, we found a faded photograph of a family. The faces stared back at us, frozen in time, but their eyes told a different story. There was sorrow and despair etched in their expressions, an unspoken tragedy that haunted the air. The uneasiness we had felt the previous night had returned, stronger than ever. We quickened our pace, eager to escape the suffocating grip of the forest. But the forest had other plans. The trail that had led us here seemed to disappear before our eyes. What was once a well-defined path became a labyrinth of trees and undergrowth, twisting and turning with no clear way out. Panic set in, and we stumbled around, desperate to find our way back to safety. Hours blended into an eternal haze of fear and exhaustion. The sound of footsteps were drowned out by our own labored breathing, and the world around us became a blur of green and brown. Just as despair threatened to consume us, we caught a sight of flickering light through the dense forest. We stumbled toward it, each step bringing us closer to salvation. The light grew brighter, and we finally burst through the trees into a small clearing. But what had awaited us was far from salvation. The clearing was occupied by a group of figures, their faces hidden beneath the tattered hoods. They stood in a circle, their bodies swaying in a horrifying dance. A wave of dread washed over us as we realized the truth. We had stumbled upon something sinister. We froze, unable to tear our eyes away from the haunting spectacle. The figures chanted in an unknown language. As the chant reached its crescendo, the ground beneath our feet shook violently, and a deafening roar filled the air. With a surge of adrenaline, we turned and fled, desperate to escape the clutches of the forest and the horrors within. Branches lashed at our faces, thorns tore at our clothes, but we pushed forward, driven by fear and instinct. Finally, we stumbled upon a familiar sight. We collapsed beside our tents, gasping for air. The forest seemed to relent, the oppressive aura dissipating into the morning air. We wasted no time in packing our belongings, desperate to put the nightmare behind us. As we drove away, the forest retreated into the rearview mirror, becoming nothing more than a fading memory. To this day, the horrors we witnessed in that forest remain etched in our minds. We never spoke of it again, each of us haunted by the inexplicable events that unfolded during the ill-fated camping trip. We found peace in the safety of the city, but the scars left by the forest darkness will forever remind us of that terrifying night. About 5 years ago, me and my friends decided to go camping out in the woods. We arrived at the campsite on a sunny morning, full of anticipation and joy. The forest stretched out before us. The trees towered over us. We decided to set our tents near a babbling brook, feeling the tranquility of nature surround us. The chirping birds and gentle rustling of leaves made us believe that we were safe in this peaceful haven. As the sun began to set, we gathered around the campfire. We made jokes, we shared a lot of stories, and we tried scaring one another. The warmth of the fire filled us with a sense of comfort, shielding us from the encroaching darkness. That night, as I lay inside my tent, I heard a twig snap in the distance. I froze, my body paralyzed. I dismissed it as an animal, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. In the pitch-black darkness, I heard whispers carried by the wind. They were low, guttural sounds. I managed to break from my paralyzed state, and I mustered the courage to wake up my friends. We listened in silence, realizing that the whispers were getting closer. A blood-curdling scream pierced through the night, causing us to jump in terror. It was a sound that chilled us to the bone, a sound that spelled danger. We knew we had to escape. With our hearts pounding, we abandoned our tents and fled into the woods, our flashlights guiding the way. Fear pushed us forward, our adrenaline fueling our desperate escape. We didn't know who or what was chasing us, but our instincts screamed for us to keep running. We stumbled through the underbrush, our breaths ragged and our legs burning with exhaustion. The forest seemed never-ending, its twisted branches reaching out to snatch us away. Panic set in as we realized we were being pursued. Suddenly, we saw a flickering light ahead, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. We sprinted towards it, praying for salvation. As we drew closer, we saw a small cabin, its windows illuminated by a warm glow. No other options, we rushed inside, slamming the door behind us. The cabin smelled musty, its walls covering in peeling wallpaper. We huddled together, gasping for breath, and listened intently for any signs of our pursuer.
I know you're in there. There's no escape.
Terror gripped us once again as we realized the man had found us. We searched frantically for a way out, but the cabin was like a trap, its walls closing in around us. Desperation fueled our every move. Suddenly, we noticed a trapdoor hidden beneath the worn-out rug. Without hesitation, we flung it open and descended into the darkness below. The space was cramped and damp, but it offered a slim chance of survival. As we cowered in the underground hideout, we heard the man's heavy footsteps above. His maniacal laughter echoed through the cabin. We held our breath, praying that he would leave. Hours turned into an eternity as we waited in silence. Eventually, the sounds above ceased, and the forest fell into an eerie calm. Slowly, we emerged from our hiding place, cautiously stepping back into the night. With every ounce of strength we had left, we made our way out the forest. The moonlight guided us, and our determination pushed us forward. We vowed never to return to those haunted woods, forever scarred by the night we were hunted. As we reached for the safety of civilization, we reported the terrifying encounter to the authorities. The manhunt for the deranged man began, and we hoped that he would be captured, ensuring that no other campers would suffer the same fate. The police came up short and found nothing. The man seemed to disappear without a trace. After that experience, I never went camping again. That experience just shook me to the core. Even the thought of looking at woods just scares me, because sometimes I feel like the man's in there, watching over me, waiting to pounce again. I want to share a story that still creeps me out to this day. A while back, me and my family took a camping trip. We set off on a sunny summer morning, driving to a beautiful campground surrounded by tall trees and a sparkling lake. The excitement was contagious as we pitched our tents and unpacked our camping gear. The first day went smoothly. We spent our time swimming, hiking, and enjoying delicious meals cooked over the fire. As the sun began to set, everyone regrouped back to the campsite. We all sat by the fire, ate some food, toasted some marshmallows, and just enjoyed the night. On the second day, I had a strange feeling that settled over me. It started with small things, rustling sounds in the bushes, a twig snapping in the distance. I brushed it off thinking it was just the wildlife moving about. However, as the days progressed, the unease grew stronger. As we sat by the fire that evening, roasting marshmallows, I noticed movement out of the corner of my eye. My head snapped in that direction as I saw something move in the dark. My body instantly went into that fight or flight mode, and I alerted my family. We decided to confront the noise, hoping it was just a misunderstanding. Slowly we approached the sound, trying to figure out what was making that noise. But as we got closer, we heard footsteps running into the forest. I stood there, paralyzed in fear, realizing that someone was stalking us. Someone was hiding and watching us, watching our every move. That night, we locked up our tents and kept a watchful eye throughout the night. Every crackle of leaves, every gust of wind made us jump, thinking that the stalker might return. Morning came and we cautiously explored the area around our campsite. We found no signs of the stalker. Our relief was short-lived though, as we discovered something chilling. Our belongings had been rummaged through, as if someone had been searching for something. Uneasy, we packed our campsite and decided to cut our trip short. We reported the incident to campground authorities, who promised to investigate. The drive back home was filled with a mixture of relief and lingering fear. To this day, we don't know who the stalker was or what their intentions were. They vanished without a trace, leaving us to wonder what might have happened if we hadn't caught them in the act. Though we continued to enjoy camping, we never returned to that particular campground. The thought of a man watching our every move just gives me shivers. After that experience, camping hasn't really been the same for me. I'd get extremely paranoid, and every time we'd sit by a campfire, I would always snap my neck at the slightest of sounds. After that, I can't really enjoy camping as much as I used to, because I always have this lingering fear that he could be close by, waiting, watching, ready to act when we least expect it.